Welcome back to the next live update on the Indian election coverage 2019 from Gulf News. Right now with me are three new panelist members. No, of course, you've also already met with Sanjeev. So you have Malvika, who's going to give us an overview about Andhra Pradesh and the interesting results from there. And Bobby, who is going to talk to us about the Indian Hindi heartland. So starting off again with Sanjeev, who's going to give us an insight into the Northeast. BJP has made, I think, quite a bit of inroad into that segment. Can you tell us a bit more?
Like, see, the Northeast accounts for 25 seats in total, if you consider the entire Northeast as a block. And going by the trends right now, BJP and its allies stand to win about 20 of those 25 seats, which is a very big thing, very significant. Yes. And about 12 of those seats will come from Assam alone.
And now, Assam, you said, is interesting.
Exactly,
what is
I'm
happening.
coming to that.
Yeah.
You see, once again, as I said about Maharashtra, the same story gets repeated in Assam as well, that of BJP working out its sheet sharing arrangement very well with its ally. Like we talked about Shiv Sena in Maharashtra, in Assam it's the Assam Gana Parishad. You know, they had a fantastic arrangement of seat sharing with AGP, and as a result, BJP might win 12 of those 14 seats from Assam alone. Mm-hmm. And that has been the story in state after state in this election, where you see BJP doing so well. Not just BJP, it's other NDA allies also picking up seats.
So then this again brings us back to the earlier question. So are we seeing a success less? I know there has been a lot of communal politics, etc., but are you seeing a success of a party that is very well organized and has done a lot of grassroots kind of level of campaigning right from the start, and their opposition which has taken it rather lightly?
Yeah, I think you're very right. Opposition, namely the Congress, let's say, didn't understand that BJP is going to make this kind of an inroads in Northeast. Actually, the process started with BJP winning the Assam and Tripura state assembly elections a couple of years back. That really, set this entire thing into motion. And what we are seeing right now is a consolidation of the right-wing vote, let's say, as it has happened in elsewhere in India, in the northern and western parts. The same story is getting repeated in Bengal, Odisha, and also in the northeastern parts. So this is basically a pattern which is setting in right now, all across the Gangetic Plains and right up to the northeast.
Which brings me to West Bengal. A quick line on that.
Yeah, West Bengal is one of the fascinating stories of this election right now. And according to the Election Commission's figures, Trinamool is winning about 43% of the vote share. Mm-hmm. And BJP is winning 43% of the vote share and Trinamool getting about 45. So if there's a 2 percentage point difference between the two major parties, that talks of a tectonic shift happening in Bengal right now, where Trinamool, and I think until about 2 years back, was absolutely sure of winning about 40 seats in Bengal. And from there, their tally is coming down to about 25.
And where does that leave CPM?
And CPM, actually what has happened in Bengal is a transfer of votes, so to speak, from the left to the BJP. That
Again,
is what has happened.
A question of good alliances?
Yeah, it's not really a question of good alliances. I would rather say that when Mamata came to power in 2011 in West Bengal, the CPM, namely, and the left as a whole, they ceded a lot of ground to Mamata. Mm-hmm. They were in no position to put up a fight. In election after election, there were booths that were left unmanned. The left was not in a position to even put up enough booth managers and agents. So this has been the story in Bengal for the last 8 years. So there was a lot of fertile ground for some other party, some other political combination to come in and capitalize on the anti-Mamata sentiment which has been brewing for some time. And what we are seeing right now is BJP taking over that ground which was lying vacant for some time.
So watching and taking opportunity.
Exactly.
Which brings us to Andhra Pradesh. What do you have to tell us about Andhra Pradesh?
I think what's happening in Andhra right now is, I wouldn't say it's unexpected, because for some time I think the ground sentiment has been a little bitter about Chandrababu Naidu, even though we must remember that he is one of the chief ministers in the history of the state who has had an immense backing, given that he actually brought Andhra into the IT category.
Yes.
And he did it extremely successfully. But I think the root of the present problem can go back to the bifurcation that happened in 2014, and the state got split, and I don't think the wounds have healed. A lot of Andhra still are smarting at the way it was done. Many promises were made, and a lot of those promises, such as a special status category for the state, such as extra funds, because right now Andhra's public debt is at an all-time high, and
And I think the water
even
issue
though
is
in
still
comparison its industrial performance over the years has been pretty steady. In fact, in 2018, it, it was among one of the highest in states in India. The question is that for the public, all these promises and this new capital Amravati, now that's become a bone of contention. And Naidu, I think he started off well by promising this absolute state of the art capital, but over the last 2 years, I think he has just slid into a lot of resentment is coming to him, in the sense of the expenditure and the ambition are just not matching. I think Jagan Reddy has been very clever in trying to utilize that space that is building against Naidu. And he has done something which I suppose every strong opponent does, which is go to the base of your opponent's support group, which are all the backward castes, and there are a lot of them in Andhra. And he has literally been visiting them door to door over his very extensive campaign over the last 1 year. And it really looks like it succeeded, because they seem to be now having more trust in Jagan's promises for the future of Andhra than someone who has been a very seasoned politician and chief minister. But Naidu seems to be losing a bit of his ground, according to what the results are showing.
And this
A lot of his
is
ground.
and this is interesting because the opposition has been, or the Congress has been utilizing him to kind of create alliances all over the country.
Yes, but clearly even that tactic has not worked. And I think now it's really important to see what the future holds, because obviously Naidu seems to be now a part of the history rather than the future. I think in the future, sticking my neck out, I would think that Jagan has always expressed a very tacit support with the BJP, and if he manages somehow to get the state what it needs right now to assuage its identity hurt, which is a special status category, I think he's going to be a real hero for times to come. If he
So,
manages to get it.
an interesting point you raised was Chandrababu Naidu is about history and the past, and looking at the fact that we've had a high level of young voters turning up. So, do you think India and the South and all these other states are actually the youth speaking?
I think it is the youth speaking, because 60% or close to that is the youthful population of India. And Jagan, I think, is more identifiable as a youth leader than Naidu, who's obviously much older. And probably he doesn't talk the language of the youth, which is right now required in Andhra. Because again, the state also has a bit of the similar issues of jobs and greater industrialization. They feel a lot of money is being pumped into the so-called pipe dream of Amravati, because as of now it's only a blueprint. Nothing really is happening on the ground, and they just believe that instead of having all these airy-fairy concepts, how about someone who gives us a more concrete idea of what our future looks like. And I think Jagan at this point is poised to speak that language. It remains to be seen what he delivers, because there's always a shadow that falls between promises and delivery in every single political leader who takes the seat. So at the moment, I think he's riding high on the popularity he's gleaned, saying, look, I'm the guy to turn to, because the rest were all promises, but I will deliver on your promises.
Ironically, his father was a congressman.
Yeah.
That's another irony
That's
of Indian
another
politics.
irony, that there is obviously a different ideological shift that is happening with the younger generation, which he represents.
I think, like I said in the earlier live, you seem to be seeing a sentiment that is anti-dynastic politics.
I'm not sure whether in Andhra that is that confirmed, because you must also look at the way a lot of Telugu people venerate dynasties, which is visible in the way they venerate film stars. So whether it's the NTR dynasty or whether it is anything else, in fact they actually look forward to it, because I think they have a certain respect for continuity, which is interpreted in a different way in their mindset.
Thank you for that, Monica. Coming to Bobby, India's Hindi heartland, which a lot of people say finally decides who sits in the Prime Minister's office. So UP is giving us especially some interesting results.
Not just UP. I mean, Anupa, if you begin from central India and if you have to draw a circle right from Chhattisgarh, MP, and go to the west,
Haryana,
Rajasthan,
Madhya Pradesh.
Gujarat, and there's a slight break only in Punjab. Otherwise, you can draw the complete circle right from Chhattisgarh to Bihar. If you look at UP, what has happened over there is that although BJP is not repeating its, it doesn't look like it's going to repeat its 2000 performance when it won 73 seats along with its allies, and only the remaining 7 seats went to the opposition. But still, it's still not a bad job what they have done in UP. Because if you look at the opposition alliance, when Samajwadi Party and
BSP.
Bahujan Samaj Party and RLD, which is they came together, and the combined vote share of these parties is either slightly more than the BJP's, or almost the same. And what they were hoping was that the 5 years of so-called anti-incumbency, which we think it's not there, will give the Gathbandhan a slight edge, and then they will be able to actually stop BJP in UP, which was critical for the opposition story. If the opposition wanted, that this is one state where opposition could have succeeded, but you can see that it's failing miserably. Now, in remaining states, what is happening? The so-called Hindi heartland states.
No, which also brings the interesting point of caste politics.
Yeah, see, okay, the caste politics is more profound and more visible in UP than any other state, perhaps maybe Bihar. So I think the opposition was banking too much on this so-called caste arithmetic. Samajwadi Party, they have the Yadav community supports them. Bahujan Samaj Party, one section of the Dalit community supports them, and then whoever gets the vote of these two parties, the Muslims tend to vote, support them. Yeah. But clearly, that arithmetic is not working. We can see that. If it won't be wrong to say that here the chemistry is more powerful, the Modi chemistry, and it's a huge lesson for not just this regional parties but also Congress, that one, even the poorest of poor, look, they are aspirational. If you look at the delivery of the Modi government in the 5 years, it's not satisfactory. Everybody agrees that. So what have they got? What have these poor and marginalized people got? Some of them have got toilets. Some of them have got free cooking gas connection. Some of them have got electricity connection. Some of them have got the pakka house, the concrete house. Now, see, in a state like UP, which is 200 million people live there, the expectation from the government is so low that anything, if the government is able to deliver, is fine. It's fine, and this is what has worked.
That's
And
a
that
bit
is-
tragic, actually.
And that is why voters who are loyal to, let's say, Mayawati, the Jatav, the Mayawati belongs to the Jatav community. Looks like many of them have shifted to the BJP. Same with the Yadav community.
Why?
Yadav
Because
is
of this, sorry to interrupt you, Bobby. So the shift you're believing is because of these few minor kind of, yeah.
See, not just that. In this election, what we have noticed, one distinct story that is coming, and it's kind of uniform in most states, if not all, is that voters, even the voters of the rural India, they are able to distinguish between the state elections and the national elections. And that is where I think the real story lies. That they think that Prime Minister Modi is good for India. So you may have these regional heavyweights. People still will restore faith on these people. Odisha is one example where Mr. Patnaik seems to be winning.
Sorry to interrupt, Bobby. What you're saying is very right. In Odisha, people have gone in to vote.
Yeah.
There were 2 EVMs. They have pressed one button for BJP,
BJP.
and one button for BJP.
Exactly.
One vote for the state elections and one for the
Yeah.
national elections.
And similarly,
Voters were so discreet.
and this is more visible, Anupa, in these three states. If you look at Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, where Madhya Pradesh, BJP lost power just 5 months ago. And the most, and Chhattisgarh was a clear mandate. Even if Congress victories in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan were not so convincing, but they have the
mandate is-
government.
they
Still,
formed
it
the
was a
government.
mandate. Even in these states, we have seen that Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, they're barely winning one seat each. Chhattisgarh, again, BJP is winning up to 9 seats. That is,
So basically, you're saying is that they'll get the states, but they won't get the center, because the Indian voter wants different choices at different places because of their daily functioning versus what they believe is necessary for the larger picture.
No, I think if this current trend stays, then what the state and the national elections will be two different stories. One, the state, I think the voters more and more will alternate, between the incumbent and the opposition. Uh, we have seen this in Madhya Pradesh after 15 years. Shivraj Singh Chauhan lost, Dr. Raman Singh lost, Vasundhara Raje lost. I think this trend will spread to other states also. Voters will alternate, will throw out the incumbent and bring in the opposition. This will happen. But at the national level, we don't know at the moment. At the moment, Narendra Modi is the undisputed supreme leader. There is no challenger. We thought that to an extent Rahul Gandhi is able to actually make a dent. But if you look at the last few rounds, actually the numbers are coming down. When at 11 o'clock our time, the numbers were over 100. Now they have come down to the 80s.
Yeah.
So the gains made by Rahul Gandhi are marginal. So we don't know unless a pan-India leader emerges. Whether Rahul Gandhi will be able to fill that gap in the next 5 years, we don't know. At the moment, I think that as far as the national story goes, Narendra Modi is the leader. Looks set to continue for 5 years. We never know what will happen in 2024. By the time, I think, how old is Mr. Modi?
70.
He's 70, so in 5 years he'll be 75. By BJP's own rule, anybody who is 75 plus is sent to,
Nirvana. Political nirvana.
Yeah, the political nirvana, or what they call it is their advisory council.
Yeah, but by 2024, I think they will also change the rule and probably extend it to 80.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
It's possible.
Let's see. Interesting results, interesting times for India. And one of the most interesting points made by a panelist is that the Indian voter cannot be fooled and is voting rather cleverly but discreetly, to quote Sanjeev, when it comes to their choices that depends on center and state elections. Let's see how the day unfolds. We will continue to have more such analysis and live updates about the results from across India, so definitely stay tuned. And as I said earlier, you can get all our updates on all our social media channels, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we also have a WhatsApp subscription. We will be putting up the number beneath the story, and you can definitely use that to get push notification. Meanwhile, to stay updated constantly with live coverage with all the news, views, and analysis, log on to gulfnews.com. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again in a short while.